All right. Welcome back to the Mindful Method podcast. I'm your host, Coach Mike. Got an exciting, awesome guest today for you all listening. An old friend of mine, someone who I really looked up to in kind of the fitness world. And fast forward to today, I've got Joel Tellier on it was a lead creative director at Vice, Staygold owner now, and just reopened or opened a second location, and also kind of a creative problem solver, wearing many different hats. So Joel, thanks so much for joining me today.
Yeah, no problem, Mike. Thanks for having me.
I wanted to kick things off of kind of how we met. We were it was on Ossington, just to kind of go way back, Academy Alliance days. I remembered I had just got into CrossFit, and so those who don't know, Toronto Academy Alliance was kind of maybe one of the starting box gyms that was starting with CrossFit. And I had joined after being on a trip in Israel and got a taste of what CrossFit was all about. And I jumped in with 2 feet, and I saw Joel across from me on the platform. Like, man, this guy can lift. He had incredible strength, and just looked like he was so dialed in his fitness, his training, and could lift super heavy. And Joel, do you recall that this was a while ago? I can't exactly how long, but do you remember kind of where you were at? I know maybe you were competing. Like, give us a little bit of backstory of where you were in your training days.
Yeah, I think that time that's about 10 years ago, at least to say maybe 10 or 11 even. Um, yeah, and I was trained to be. I was a competitive CrossFitter, and that's really I had. Before that, I was, like in high school, I just did everything. Like I literally entered every track and field event, like in my final year of high school, and just,
Mm-hmm.
like was just a general overall athlete. And then, but I ended up, I was a pole vaulter, and then I played the competitive soccer for a number of years. And then I realized I was just kind of getting almost like too big to play soccer. I was like running into people and they were falling down and not getting back up. And I didn't mean to do that, but but it was happening. And then I was like, oh, the CrossFit, man, I can actually apply this this weird strength that I have in.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course, like just the running and other just overall fitness, and like this is a great application of all the things I've been doing. Like I don't think that soccer really was that perfect application for me, even though I did it for almost 30 years, which is wild to think about.
Mm-hmm. And you managed. It sounds like you kind of cultivated 2 different kind of modalities, right? So your ability to run, and then strength, and it sounds like CrossFit was it for you at that time? Did it kind of check that box?
Yeah, like exactly that. I mean, CrossFit at that time was pretty accessible. I think like competitively right now, it's pretty. Yeah, man, you got to be quite a few years behind you before you can get to that actual competitive level, and no matter what you do before you get into it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like having speed, agility, accuracy, strength, power, endurance, and muscular endurance that's what was needed. And I was naturally kind of had a little bit of all those things, so it felt like a
Mm-hmm.
great application of all those things together.
Awesome. And next, I want to kind of touch on of like, so how did Staygold come to be? What kind of drove you to starting your own gym and making it into what it is today?
Yeah, well, it was driven out of necessity. It's in a way. I remember. So my friend Danny, he and you, of course, you know Danny.
Mm-hmm.
He owned the Academy Alliance, and I trained there for 12 years, I think, so a long time. And uh, and he, through a series of events, was not the owner of the Academy anymore. The To me, the it seemed like there was a little bit of culture shift, which is totally fine, but maybe didn't align with my goals. And I was also like, trying to train hard in a fitness facility that was designed for classes and designed for maybe not the competitive level athlete, which is okay. I mean, certainly
Mm-hmm.
there's a mix, but it becomes very difficult when time and space is being used up by class programs. So you get kind of pushed to late in the evening, or maybe 2 hours in the middle of the day, where they allow you to come in and do kind of like
Mm-hmm.
the level of training that you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And so, yeah, so I asked Danny, I'm like, Danny, you know, where are you going to open another gym? Like, when are you going to open? I want to train. I want to train at your place. And he's like, I'm not going to train. I'm not going to open another gym, but you should. And I said, no, that's a terrible idea. And then I did it anyway. So, there's a few of us that teamed up, had the idea together. Danny was one of them. And we, uh, yeah, we built a space that would allow flexibility for you to be a competitive athlete and train in a facility where you had time and space and the variability that you need in order to do everything you need to do to kind of reach that higher level, as well as completely no ego. You know, you can come in as a beginner and also feel completely comfortable. So the trick was to eliminate and develop a culture that was driven, but did not have ego. And not that everybody in fitness has an ego or anything like that. It's just more to not create that intimidation from the competitive athletes towards the younger beginning athletes or the aspiring athletes,
Mm-hmm.
and to turn them off. So I think we balanced that really well. It kind of is just known today that Staygold is one of the most welcoming spaces for no matter where you are at in your fitness journey, and but also a place that people work hard. So it's come to fruition.
Yeah, I really admire that about the culture you've been building and the community. I know you're so big on the community, and like I'm curious, like where does that come from? Of like really wanting just to build it? Is it like did you miss it or not have it growing up? Like training, and like what's really drove you to just like get local businesses together and collaborate and kind of build?
Yeah, I mean, I do have I mean, it's relatively selfish in a way. I think I grew up in the country. I grew up in a dirt road, kind of middle of nowhere, which is fine, but it's allowed my imagination to kind of develop, and that's partially why I've become a creative, like a designer, creative director. But also, I was just being alone a lot. I didn't really. I did that, and it has value. However, being around people, um, work ethic and drive and fun and all these great things that they're contagious. And so you don't have that motivation that day. You can look across the room, you can see somebody, or you're
Mm-hmm.
chatting with somebody and they do, and you can kind of like, well, I'm just going to attach myself to that motivation. And then that gets me through the day,
Mm-hmm.
or through the workout. But a lot of it was just really just wanting more people around that are like-minded, trying to create a home for people that a lot of the time we're on the fringe of fitness. So that's why kind of the Stay Gold name came about. It came from the book The Outsiders and the Robert Frost poem. But so Stay Gold is like obviously quoting that book and The Outsiders, and I was like, okay, well, outsiders of the fitness space. I'm like, okay, so that relates, and then it just sort of like the once you read, if you read about like where the meaning all comes from, and just really just the Robert Frost poem that it's inspired by, where you're just trying to be your best version of yourself at all points in your life. As you grow older, you don't necessarily have to be the best, but just be the best
Mm-hmm.
version of you. I really aligned with that, and I think that other people have as well. So we've become like the like a collection of misfits and of fitness, people that are beginning, or people that don't feel like maybe they were as welcome in other fitness spaces, or maybe weren't encouraged to
Mm-hmm.
be in fitness. They come to Stay Gold and they are encouraged and they are welcome. And it doesn't matter your gender, sexuality, body type, experience level, or anything. Everyone's treated, obviously, like equal and the way it
Mm-hmm.
should be.
Yeah, I really like that, and I've definitely seen that, and I know how intimidating it can be if you've never stepped foot in a CrossFit gym before. And curious, like when you first started Stay Gold, were you titled or labeled as CrossFit, or was it just more of like how did you what did you call it? What was?
Yeah, that's interesting because you have to pay money if you want to say the word CrossFit anywhere on your website or on your social
Mm-hmm.
media. And I didn't feel like that was completely necessary. I also didn't. I was kind of seeing the writing on the wall as far as CrossFit was concerned. Not that there's anything wrong with CrossFit, but it was migrating somewhat away from um, the mainstream, even though it's still very popular. It just in maybe it's in Toronto, or maybe it's in Canada, or maybe it's just in my circle. Um, Functional fitness was kind of more appealing to everyone. They didn't necessarily want to. There's room for competition, but they didn't. But I'd say the amount of people that come in our doors that are actually being competitive is somewhere like 5%.
Mm-hmm.
Other people want to be healthy and they want to be functional, and they want to push themselves and see what they can do with their body, and with their mind. And but like the competitive side of CrossFit was not a necessary part of our brand, even though it
Mm-hmm.
always would be, just maybe not at the forefront.
And talk a little bit about, I know Staygold's an affiliate for HyRox now, and for those who are not familiar with it, and I'll be joining the exciting event you've got coming up as like maybe a teaser or like get your feet wet type of thing. But tell us the idea behind that. What was your thinking or reasoning?
Well, HyRox to me is interesting sport. I mean, I'm not. It's a funny one for me to get into because I'm 200 plus pounds. It's not going to go well for me.
Yeah.
Trying to run around, and I'll certainly do well on like the pushing and the pulling and all that kind of stuff. But it high rock seems like a much more accessible sport, to be in, at like a maybe competitive, or just like to you can you're competing against yourself a lot of the time, more so
Mm-hmm.
than in CrossFit. CrossFit, oftentimes you're competing against yourself. It's like it all depends how you frame it in your mind, but HyRox is often it's the same workout every single time. Not that your training is always varies and different, but a HyRox personal fitness test, a PFT, which is what we're running on July 12th. We're also doing
Mm-hmm.
one in September. Is It's always the same. So it's the same workout every single time. You can kind of like see what your score was last time, try to make improvements, kind of see where your fitness is and where it's improved. Like maybe one section became sticky for you, a little difficult. You can maybe try to work on your wall balls and or whatever it is, lunges or your rowing. So it's just a little more holistic, and a really nice test where you don't have to feel like you have to beat the person next to you to feel good about it. You can just beat your previous time, which is
Mm-hmm.
it's nice. You're like, we're all in it together. We're all gonna be very tired at the end, uh, but you're not feeling that kind of stress like a standard CrossFit competition might be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I like how kind of anyone can kind of jump in and see how you do, and excited to bring a client or two maybe to the event as well, and kind of again big on what you're all about is the community, right? I think that's one thing, especially if you're training working out from home or you're going to a big box gym. Sometimes you really miss that, and I think you've done an awesome job at just cultivating the community, hosting these great events that people look forward to, and like that's where we really develop and grow, right? And kind of meet others that maybe you see once in a while, but you don't really get to have a connection with. I want to shift now and talk more about like the branding, the creative mind behind Joel and Staygold, and like all the awesome graffiti artists you've had come in. Like, how do you come up with these ideas, and where does all this inspiration come from?
Yeah, well, I mean, as a professional creative, a designer or whatever, any kind of creative you often are. The work you do is limited by what the client's appetite is for whatever design you're doing or whatever their goal is. So that changes. Like, I mean, it's dramatically different when you are your own client and you're designing for it. So I get it's a little bit of freedom for me to express myself. Sometimes I wish I had a little more time to actually do that side of things, because there's so many different parts you have to work on when you're on your own business. You can't just do the pretty pictures. But establishing like some pretty solid branding, many years ago, almost 10 years ago now, 8 years ago, it really helps to 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 bring life to a brand, at first glance. So a big part of what I was trying to do with the Staygold brand was, with the naming as well as the graphic design, was that I wanted to make it feel not like any other fitness space, to make people give people a little bit of a question mark. I mean, hopefully not too much where they're just confused entirely, um, but somewhat clean and clear. Like our aesthetics very black and white, very stark. But try to take a little bit of that edge off by having a lot of smiling faces and sort of cartoony type thing elements is around,
Mhm.
um, to kind of create that approachability. So we're kind of representing this very strong, um, and stark and solid brand with this more lighthearted approach, which really reflects what the internal inside the walls what we are as a community and as a facility and as the way we coach and guide people. And the other part was just really trying not to look like any other fitness space, so really trying to bring in some other things that were elements that were not in traditional fitness. So usually, fitness facilities are you have an animal or you have it's steel or glass or a hammer or skulls or whatever it
Mhm.
is. It's
Yeah.
like, which is totally fine. But as like I said, we were trying to be a little bit more on the fringe. So maybe we were a little bit more into we're like a house for creative people that were also into fitness, which is what I was, which I sort of didn't feel like I belonged in the creative world because I was, I had muscles, and then and then I didn't belong in the fitness world completely because I, like to paint or something like that. It's so yeah, so like the aesthetic was intentionally trying to be something that was a little ambiguous, a little bit unconventional, in order to hopefully help people that were in my shoes, maybe in a different type of shoes, but kind of feeling like, oh, I don't really want to go to the Skulls gym. That doesn't
Mhm.
feel like me. Um, yeah, but I do want to go somewhere, and I want to be healthy. So yeah, so that's how kind of generally, I mean, very vaguely how the brand kind of came together.
Yeah, and I think you definitely nailed the box of being different than any other gym in Toronto. And I think for those listening who have never even seen it, it's definitely kind of a really cool, iconic gym in Toronto to definitely check out if you're traveling and come in. I guess come hit up Joel for a workout. Curious, so the space you're in now on Brock, I know for you to get to this point and in there was quite the uphill climb. And I recall, I think it was helping you, or you were showing me around at the time. It was COVID, right? So curious if we rewind a little bit there, what was going through your head? How did you get to this point today?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll try not to spend too much time on the history, but it did. We had multiple locations, like not multiple at any given time, but we moved a number of times in our first few years. So we moved. We had our first location. We got kind of a little bit screwed over on our lease on that one, and then we had to move to another one, and then we set up that one, and then what happened is we were about a year into that next one, so we had 1 year and 1 year in another location. The the traction wasn't there as far as like the community we were in. It didn't seem like we were able to really draw on those people. Maybe they were after something a little bit different in that area. But I always wanted to be in Parkdale. Parkdale really felt like home to me for the brand. It felt like we really identified with the people there. And well, Danny again just sort of sent me a picture of a phone number written on the side of a wall, and I called it and sort of started looking into the space, and okay, and I kind of made this really difficult decision, which is we could stay where we were and and maybe like try to tough it out, or we can move again. Which, and I mean, I can't think of something you could. I mean, moving a house is one thing that nobody wants to move, or
Yeah,
move your apartment or something, but moving a gym, it's like it's just the heaviest things. It's by design, right? Like
yeah,
like the most
yeah.
difficult things to move. So yeah, we did it again, and it was a ton of work, obviously. But I've really, in my heart, felt like this is the community. This is the people I want to be surrounded by, and the place I wanted to be in. Um, and yeah, and then we opened, and then a month later, COVID hit. We closed for 2 years, and yeah, it was kind of like a really, sounds great to have your own private gym for 2 years, right? But it's when your goal is community and you're sitting there, you're kind of just like by yourself. Just, I mean, it was me and my dogs, and yeah, but which isn't the worst thing in the world. He loves it there, but but yeah, it's just really, it was sad, and really also very tough, like to try to make it through that to the other side, to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and decide whether it's worth it or not. Do I still want this?
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and obviously you were around, and coming in, just visiting, and you were like kind of like on the rise in your fitness
Hmm.
journey, as far as like not just your practice but your ambition. Um, and I remember, yeah, one day I was kind of sitting there. I'm like, yeah, I got this, sauna here. I built a sauna in an old horse trailer, and then I've got this ice bath thing. I'm thinking about putting in this container, but it's like, it's just a bunch of junk in there right now. And you were just like, well, I've got like 2 hours. Do you want to just do it? And
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, okay. And we built the whole ice bath, cold plunge, just
Yeah.
like completely assembled it in 2 hours. And that's all it took, really. And that's exactly what I was talking about, I guess, earlier, and what you were referring to is that the contagious, you can draw energy from your community, and if you
Hmm.
don't have it that day, so maybe somebody else does, or somebody else sees something you don't, and that can uplift you and help you to reach your goals, which is really, I mean, that's what my brand's all about. That's what your brand's all about as well. So
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah.
Awesome. And yeah, you've always had these really cool creative ideas. I feel like every time I step foot in there, and I haven't been in a while, and it's the baby, but you've always the horse trailer into a sauna like that. That's just how do you even come up with something like that? Um,
It seemed like something that should have been done a lot, and it was done. There was like one YouTube video that I watched, and I was kind of like freeze framing, like, how did he do this? Because it wasn't like instructional. It didn't just tell you how to do it,
mhm.
and then just research across the board. And there was a few of us kind of working together with different expertise. We had some really talented builders, some members at the gym.
Mhm.
We have this really talented um, man named Zach, who is he's really quiet. He lifts really heavy, and he's like a sort of savant builder, and he just, would he'd see me doing something wrong basically, and correct me, and then eventually he just take it from me and do it right. Yeah, so I built the sauna, and then yeah, it's and then yeah, the ice cold bath. It was like, what can we do? We have time on our hands. I'm really I'm very impatient as a person. I'm also a very like naturally, I don't know, I guess prolific. But like, I don't know if that's a good thing. It's like you do a lot of things, but I don't know if I really rest very well. Like, as in, like, I don't stop doing things. I don't sit and relax. So
Mhm.
I go to the beach, and some people want to sit down and enjoy the beach, and I'm just like, I want to do something. So I was just
Right.
standing on the beach, not doing, just watching other people sit
Yeah.
on towels. That's kind of like a good, example of my sort of restlessness. Um, but yeah, so as far as design goes, and executing creative things around the space, it's identifying opportunities, identifying problems, identifying choke points, or bottlenecks and things like that. And really overall, like, going back to the original idea behind creating the gym, was to create that freedom and flexibility for everyone. Uh, so just after COVID, we decided to take over the building next to us as well, and we created a whole class program. And so now we have open gym, 5 a.m. to 11 p.m., like basically 24 hours a day. You can come in, do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do it. We have indoor training areas. We have outdoor training areas. We have strength training classes, HIIT, Pilates, yoga. We have sauna and ice bath. We have recovery. We have like, and different packages, obviously memberships, and then packs, and then people can drop in. They can come
Mhm.
in, just do whatever they want, and whatever they need. We have a opportunity to help them, and that for that they don't have to go somewhere else. And that's great from a business standpoint, but it's also great from a community standpoint, because people's fitness goals change. They evolve. They maybe start as a class person, but then they gain that experience and confidence, and then they're like, okay, well, maybe I'm going to do this on my own. And so they can still stay part of Staygold,
Mhm.
and go into the other building and train on their own, or they can do a combination of both, and then kind of do all, and then they can also, like, come in recovery. And what's interesting about the sauna ice bath program is it seemed like sort of just a bit of a novelty thing. It's certainly popular right now, obviously. But it's really great because it's a shared traumatic experience, basically, where people like you jump in some ice and you're freaking out, but you're with some other people, so you're just and then it seems like it's so fun to see those people that are doing it for the first or second or third time, or even people that do it all the time, but how excited they are to talk to each other afterwards, and the sharing of that experience is like it's such a strong community builder, because you immediately you're pretty much like you're not going to forget those people that were there the first time that you jumped into a cold bath and tried to stay in for 4 minutes or something.
Yeah, and I think even so important coming out of COVID of how isolated we all were, and now you've kind of developed and created this experience beyond just lifting in the gym, right? It's taking the cold, the sauna, the doing it for the first time, and getting people out of their comfort zone. More importantly, to connect with each other, right? And some of the best conversations I feel like I've had is in the sauna, in that horse trailer. Whether it was bringing clients or with you, or with others in the community. And looking at Stay Gold on the whole, I feel like it's like you've created a awesome adult playground of like, I want to be there. I want to hang out. I want to high five others. I want to hit some PRs and connect and meet more people in the community. And I think you've done an awesome job. You've also hung on during COVID, as it was a quick story, but I don't think people realize the full extent of that resilience you built through all that adversity of, opening, closing, opening, closing. You moved the gym, and like, there's just so much you went through, and you've hung on, and now, I feel like you can really reap the rewards of it, and develop this community. And, awesome to, still, have our friendship, and bring clients there, and to support you. So I think, just in closing here, for those that maybe have stepped foot into Staygold before, or considering it, or have seen, the website, the social you're doing, like, how would you guide that person? How would you lead that person to making that? I see it all the time, making that first step of opening that door, that gym door, to get in, and to get started.
Yeah, I mean, really quickly, like we treat everyone as an individual. So the biggest thing that we do, and to try to make sure everybody's going to get what they want, and is having that first conversation with them. So all of our first experiences with people, I mean, aside from just being maybe a chat on Instagram or through an email, is a tour. So they book a tour, we show them the space, but really we're trying to find out what they want, how we can help them accomplish their goals, and just who they are as individuals, and yeah, and kind of just create an initial friendship, initial connection with these people, and then what's, I mean, all of our coaches feel the same way. It's a big part of our culture is we are fulfilled by helping other people fulfill their goals. And I mean, you just, once you see somebody walk into the gym the first time, and then you're like, okay, well, the posture is not that they're weak or anything like that, but they're just, maybe you can tell that they're not confident. And then 2 months later, you see them walk in there a little bit, like you can just feel the confidence and pride they have in themselves, and that, I mean, that's so fulfilling, and such a I feel complimented by them willing to spend time, and allowing us to take them or help them on their journey. And whenever anybody even just knows who we are, Stay Gold, and I talk to somebody, oh, I own this gym, and then they're like, oh, yeah, I heard about that one. I'm always like, what, really? Okay. But it seems like we've come to that point where it's harder to find somebody that hasn't heard of us than the other way around. And that's, I mean, that's makes me like a bit like emotional, because of, like you said, the hardship, the hard times we had to go through in order to get it to this point.
Mm-hmm. And just so those listeners who are curious, who do want to come check it out, are you offering any, I don't know, kind of promotion, or do you suggest maybe trying out the fitness test coming up in July? Is that something you think would be?
Absolutely. So we have a number of things that are happening right now. I mean, I assume we're going to get this out online pretty much right away. So we're doing a Canada Day long weekend sale, where basically you get 50% off your first 2 months with us. So I mean, there's no real cheaper way to kind of get into fitness than 50% off for an extended period of time. So really try us out and see how that goes for you. Hopefully we're a good fit. And then obviously, yes, in July 12th, we have our personal fitness test, the HyRox personal fitness test, PFT. Sign up. Don't be intimidated. It's hard, but that's supposed to be hard. It's fine. We'll get through it together. And yeah, and all these things can be found at our link in bio on Instagram. You can find links to all the different options. And if you have any questions, obviously message us. But if you really want to dig into it, book a tour, and we'll meet with you in person.
Awesome. It was great having you on, Joel. Ton of great stories. I know there's going to be a lot more. I feel like that we'll have together too, and excited for the fitness test coming up in July. So thanks for joining me, and I'm sure I'll see you soon.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Mike. We'll see you soon.